Hello, I'm Brian Fitzgerald, the Golf Doctor, and today I'm going to show you how to escape from the trouble. And we're going to make it as easy as possible. And I see a lot of people get themselves into trouble and they admonish themselves and think, I have to get better at not getting into trouble. It's a fickle game, and at some point, no matter how good you are, no matter how good a player you are, you will find your way into trouble. The problem is most people don't practice getting out of trouble. The first time they get into a situation like this is on the golf course, then they really don't know what to do and they can't approach this with confidence. So this is a par 5 hole. I've sliced my drive off the tee. It's not a long par 5, but I've got a couple of choices, and it depends on your skill level and what your scoring range or handicap is as to what decision you could make. But there's probably 3 things that I can do in this situation. So the first thing I can do, which is very low risk, is I can get my ball out onto that fairway. So if I just get the ball out onto the fairway, onto that short grass, there's really no trouble at all. Bit of an overhanging branch here, but I've only got to hit the ball about 15 to 20 metres and there's no issue. So I can do that. I don't advance the ball, but I now have a clear swing at it. So if it's a par 5, I'm then there for 2. I can get my next one advanced down there for 3. Hopefully I can get the ball on for 4. 2 putt, I've made 6. So there's very little risk involved in that strategy. Just chip it out sideways, take your medicine and move on. So that's probably the best strategy and the simplest. The next one involves a little bit more risk, and that is I'm going to try and advance it. So I've got this overhanging branch here, which is probably about 12, 13 feet, something like that in height. I can advance the ball down there pretty far, but about 35, 40 metres away, I have another overhanging branch. So I've really got to keep this low the entire way. Now, the harder I hit the ball, the more backspin there's going to be on the ball. Backspin will help make the ball go up in the air a little bit, so that brings that into play. So this is a high risk strategy. So I might then say, well, gee, I'm going to try and advance that probably 70 odd yards down there. That way I could hope to get the ball on the putting surface with my next shot. So I'm going to have a go at playing that, and I'll talk you through how I would play that. So a lot of people straight away just think, I'm going to take out a club with no loft. The problem with taking out a club with no loft and not doing anything else is, as I said before, I can hit down on it, and if I hit down on it, even with a 3-iron, the ball is going to go up. When you hit down on something, it tends to go up. So that's the problem with it. So I would like to use, say, a 5-iron from this shot. So I'll grab out my 5-iron. And there's a couple of things that I would do. Now, once again, don't just come out here and do it, practice it. Get good at it. And when you can do the 7 out of 10 rule, so in other words, if you can play this shot 7 out of 10 times successfully, you can try this on the golf course. But if you're only 3 out of 10, it's a risk and you're going to ruin your score. So I would just stick to that 7 out of 10 rule. If you can play the shot 7 out of 10 times, that's the shot you should play. Play the shot that you know you can play. Don't play the shot that you hope you can play. So I tend to play these a little bit more off my back foot, so a little bit further back, which is my right foot. I tend to get my hands up a little higher because that helps to disengage my hands. If I have my hands lower, it's easier for me to use my wrists. Now, if I use my wrists, the ball is going to get up in the air. We want to keep this low. So I tend to keep my hands just a fraction higher, shaft just forward a little bit, not too much. I keep my weight on the left side and I keep it there all through the shot. Now, as I'm doing it, I'm feeling the club staying low. I want that shallow angle of attack that I talk a lot about with the short game. This is, after all, it's an extended chip. So I stay on that left foot. If I transfer my weight, that's going to help me to hit down on it, which gets the ball up. So everything here that I'm talking about keeps the ball low. So we'll see how I go with it. It's low back, it's low through, and as I come through, my club face rotates to the left. Because if I can keep my club rotating to the left, that helps to keep the ball down. If I keep my club face square, that's adding loft effectively, that's going to help get it up again. So we'll try and advance this down about 50 to 70 metres or thereabouts. Perfect, nice low, stayed right down. It's probably gone about 80 metres, so that's a pretty good shot, and that puts me in a great position to try and get the ball on for my next one. Okay, so if your skill level is such that you can play that shot, I'd encourage you to play it, but once again, 7 out of 10. If it's not, play that one, because you can probably play that 7 out of 10, maybe even 10 out of 10, so much simpler. Now we're going to play the one that I would probably say is about the 3 out of 10 shot, and that is I'm going to have a crack at hitting the ball much closer to the green. Now this comes with high risk, because if I'm going to hit it further, there will be more backspin. It brings these overhanging branches into play, not just this one, but the one that's about 40 metres away. Probably a stupid shot to play, but this is the shot that I see most people playing. So I'm going to have a go at this with my hybrid golf club. So it's sort of a bit of a trade-off. Hybrids do get the ball in the air, but if you know what you're doing with it and you keep the right technique, you'll find you will be able to keep it low. This hybrid has 19 degrees, so it's not very much loft on it. But I basically play it the same way, and I'm going to use a bit like a 1/2 to 3/4 type swing, and I'm just going to play it the same way that I just did. I'm just going to hit it harder and see what happens. So it's ball slightly back, not too far back, because then you can smother it a little bit. We don't want to do that. So it's just slightly back in the stance. Hands just ever so slightly forward, keeping the club shallow. There you go. I got lucky, it's gone through everything, but the ball popped up in the air just a little bit and it's gone through the tree. So in that case, I'm lucky. I was very lucky. I'll get away with it, and that's probably down very similar to the last shot, except that that had so much more risk. So it's a case of risk versus reward. Why would you do that when really there's not a lot to be gained? If you can get from here down there, get the next one on, or at worst, get the one after that on, 2-putt, the worst thing you've had is a bogey. If I had have hit that, and if it had have gone 6 inches further right, it would have hit a big tree. Who knows, I could have lost the ball, and that's when you start taking those big scores. And then you think to yourself, gee, why didn't I just play it out there? You get angry, and then on the next tee you try and recover, and you have another big score. It's all about playing the shot that you know you can make, not playing the shot that you hope you can make. Get out on the course when no one's around and just put some balls in trees. Have a go at playing all these different shots. As to which shot I would have played, I would definitely have played the second one. That matches my skill level. I could easily have done that, but I felt fairly confident I could get that out there with no risk with that 5-iron, and it offers me the best consistent result. So the only time I might have played that third shot is if it was the last hole and I needed to get a birdie to win. Then I don't mind if I take 7. It's a case of, do I want to try and win? I would probably then play that. But other than that, I would just play the second shot every single time. Thank you for letting me help you with your golf. I'm Brian Fitzgerald, the Golf Doctor, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video.